I was told I need a brand. Like, something that could, like, make my content more, you know, memorable in a sense. So I've decided that I will now start doing, like, those typical YouTube intros where they're, you know, going all, like, happy and stuff, like, "Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're gonna be reviewing Star Rail and Blade." Haha. Yeah, no, I'm not doing that shit. Ever. So anyways, guys, welcome back to another Star Rail video. Today we're going to be doing a guide on Blade. But in all seriousness, while Blade's kit looks easy to understand on surface level, there are some deeper intricacies that you might want to learn about before you actually start messing around with this character. Obviously, this is going off of closed beta Blade, because we don't have access to leaks and stuff like that, because we're a channel that does not like leaks. I say that, but I'm probably going to get exposed to like 50 or so Blade leaks while looking up the stats for this video, so it's hard to say if I can stay pure the entire way through, but well, we'll see. But yeah, I hope you like this tutorial, and well, let's get started. Starting off with the stats, Blade has probably the highest base HP out of any DPS character in the game thus far. In exchange, he has a low attack and speed stat, although we'll get to why the attack stat isn't really important to his kit in a second. Blade as a character doesn't really require too much investment to be good, considering that he can act as both a DPS and a sub-DPS in most given scenarios. This, of course, does not imply that he's great in every scenario, but he's a great AoE and single-target DPS, even though you will lose out on some of his damage with single target. Since Blade predominantly scales HP, you'll find that his attack scaling is quite low, resulting in less need for high attack overall. Obviously, you still want to build him crit since his kit revolves around hitting big numbers consistently, but you should focus HP as his main stat. His stat spread will greatly influence the relics you put in him, so if you want to see what relics those are, skip ahead to the shown time. One thing you should note is that Blade is probably one of the slowest characters, if not the slowest character in the entire game as of 1.2. If I'm being entirely honest, I don't remember his exact speed stat, and I'm too scared to look it up because I know for a fact that I'm going to get spoiled, but he's slow. Like, really slow. With this element being wind, an element that usually revolves around speed, it's odd seeing him as the slowest character in the game. In fact, it's actually one of his biggest weak points. Because Blade is so slow, you'll often find yourself investing into speed more as a stat due to him basically getting no turns without it. With Bronya being one of his best supports, it's highly recommended that you build him the speed boots so that he can at least make full usage of the supports in his party. Blade needs a healer. Like, it doesn't even matter what kind of team composition you're trying to run with him. He needs a healer. And don't you even fucking think about putting a shielder in his team. No! Get that support off the team, you sick fuck! Shielders don't work with Blade. Like, at all. Blade's entire kit revolves around taking damage to do more damage, so having it so that he never takes damage at all is quite literally detrimental to his kit. This immediately eliminates any shielders from his team composition, effectively removing Prez MC, Gepard, and March from the equation. I can't say anything about Fushuren because I don't know their kit, but that also probably would remove them as well. So that leaves us with a healer, 2 flex slots that can be filled with either a debuffer or a buffer, and Blade. I'll read out each character's individual talents as well as how they benefit Blade in specific comps. Natasha is the most basic healer out of the bunch, and is given out free to all players who've completed the first half of the Bellobox storyline, making them a free-to-play friendly healer who can provide debuff removal and decent healing overall. While not the greatest option for Blade, she's definitely the most user-friendly. Luocha is currently Blade's best in slot healer due to his exceedingly high single-target heal and debuff removal, also removing the need for the usage of Pella's skill, like, at all. His burst and her skill have the exact same niche, so you don't really even need to use Pella's skill anymore. He can also provide self-heal to all party members using his Abyss Flower, making him Blade's best overall ally. Bailu is placed similarly to Natasha due to her skill not having debuff removal and being inconsistent with how much it heals a character, despite it having a greater healing value than Natasha's heal. A bit of a tongue twister there, but basically, her Invigoration is good for Blade, while the rest of her kit really isn't. So yeah, she's kind of average. Bronya is by far Blade's current best support, providing him with an extra turn that boosts his damage, and also having the same element as him, meaning she can run Planetary Rendezvous, which is even better. Both her skill and ultimate greatly benefit Blade, and overall, she's his best support. Yukong, although hard to get her placement right, is very good for Blade comp so long as you use her correctly. Due to only having 2 actions in her buff, you have to be careful about where in the turn order she's placed, usually preferring to go 1 to 2 actions before Blade. Although her buff is hard to get right, she can provide Blade with an extreme damage up in many scenarios, making her a great support. Asta helps increase Blade's low speed, which is nice, but her attack up unfortunately doesn't affect Blade all that much due to Blade being predominantly HP scaling, making it so that her attack buff does very little for his overall damage. Tingyun suffers from the same issue as Asta, only in even greater force. Because Tingyun is an attack scaling buffer, her buffs do very little to change the amount of damage Blade does in the long run. Sure, she provides long-term buffs with greater SP efficiency, but the damage Blade gains from it is not very worth it in the end. Silver Wolf is Blade's best in slot debuffer, providing Depth Shred, Weakness Implant, and Quantum Entanglement. She allows for Blade to work in even more team comps against even more enemies, effectively increasing his overall usage by twice as much. Pila is an extremely SP efficient character, barely ever needing to use a skill due to it being a niche that's only really useful in certain scenarios. This, paired with extreme defense shred and absurd energy regen, makes her an excellent debuffer for Blade. And lastly, Sampo. I'll be real with you, he's just on this list for shits and giggles, to be honest. I don't know why I put him here. Yeah, that covers about everyone he works with in terms of team compositions. The teams I'd personally recommend putting him on are listed below because I don't want to explain them too much in detail, but I'm assuming you can guess off just, you know, the overall explanation I gave prior. His relics really aren't too difficult to figure out. In fact, they just might be the easiest part of his kit, so I'm not going to sugarcoat it and just dive right into it. The Wind set 1 random 4-piece is decent if you want more actions with Blade, but otherwise it doesn't yield all that much extra damage for Blade's kit. The new HP set is good for Blade due to his HP increase and crit rate buff based off how much HP was lost. This set was basically made for Blade and allows for the user to invest more in crit damage than crit rate. Running the Wind set and the HP set in tandem will likely result in the highest base damage out of the two sets, but will also require more investment into crit and speed, making it much harder to use overall. Inert Soul Soda provides the most damage for Blade's kit due to buffing both follow-up attacks and ultimates, both types of damage instances that Blade uses. That paired with the crit rate increase allows for more investment into crit damage. Rudelin's Arena, the new planner set, increases crit rate similar to Salsado, but it provides less to Blade's overall kit due to only being able to boost one instance of Blade's kit, that being his basic attack damage. I personally would recommend running the HP set 4-piece with Inert Salsado since it provides the most for his kit overall and allows for more crit damage investment. As for the stat spread of his relics, he should have crit damage in his body, or crit rate if you're using an 8th or 7th Salsado in the HP 4-piece, speed in his boots, wind damage in his sphere, and HP in his rope. And lastly, prioritize HP, crit, and speed for his substats, since those are all things he scales off of and needs the most. As of 1.1, this is all I have to say for Blade's kit. It is extremely likely that his traces and eidolons have been changed drastically from their closed beta counterparts, which is why I will not be discussing them in this video. If you want to know more about them, I linked a Hoya Lab post I made 2 months back in the comment section below. I detailed his old eidolons and traces there, so if you want to check them out, feel free. Anyways, that covers pretty much everything I wanted to talk about today. I wish you all a great morning, afternoon, evening, I don't know, but I hope it's going well. But yeah, that's all for me. Bye!